Hello, good night, everyone, and welcome to the Solstice Summer Showdown. Tonight, we're here with the hometown hero, Solstice Esports, bringing it the fight to Neon Sunset with Bellicosity. I am Man of Class, and joining me for the first time in history is Got Moxie. My hair is waving with the wind of winners. That's what I call my fan. So what do you think the fans of these teams are going to be looking forward to, Moxie?
I mean, you brought a fan. I feel like I should have also brought a fan, and we could have, got a thing going. Maybe film the shampoo commercial. Classic. It's the first time. It's probably only the one night that we get to
Maybe,
cast
maybe.
together.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I mean, both of these teams are going to be bringing all of their best today because it is a double elimination bracket, and we are currently in the losers segment of that. So whoever loses tonight does not progress any further in this competition. And if you're Solstice, you don't want to go out of your own tournament without a win to your name.
No, and I mean, add to that, tomorrow is the actual anniversary. The whole reason why they're doing the tournament. So it would be really sad if they were out, just before the anniversary. But maybe we can have a little bit of bias. Maybe it could be a little bit of that caster curse in their favor and just help them get that win. But obviously, most of it's going to have to be done by their own. And you have cast both these teams before. What do you think we're really going to be looking for?
So I got to cast Solstice indeed a couple of days ago, and these guys were very strong on most aspects. Unfortunately, where they lagged behind, and this was a real Achilles heel for this team, was when dealing with nanoblades. Genji has been buffed. Genji is very much back in the forefront of the meta, and if you want to go for that dive, you can absolutely have a full-on Genji dive, just absolutely knocking every single fight into your favor. It's a horrible win condition to deal with, and it has a couple of ways that you can run around it. They tried to go with a Batiste, they tried to go with a Brigida, they just weren't really able to figure out how best to deal with it. I wanted to see a McCree. We also were asking for a little bit of a Sombra, maybe even some Zenyatta. And we did get to see that towards the end of the night's classy. So if Solstice have been keeping some notes, then they should be coming into this with a pretty good idea on how to handle that win condition and keep it away from their loss.
Okay, well, that's all they sort of need to do, deal with the Genji, or at least hope there is no Genji on the other side. That would be even better. But yeah, Neon Sunset, maybe they've actually watched the game and then they know, okay, let's just play Genji and we easy win. Could be, it's very possible. Baxter and Sawgrass, they are bringing up the front line with a tank, and I like seeing good tank combo. That's the thing I look forward. I'm a tank main. I really like to see the tanks really work together, do their thing, have the proper communication. The Reinhardt Zarya bubble jumps, the double shields, the halt hook combos, or the halt accretion combos, or anything really comboed with halt is always cool to see. But yeah, we're obviously really looking forward to seeing if the DPS pull out the Genji. Brassy in Wave 2. I think it would probably be Wave 72 that pull out the Genji. I think Brassy would be more of the hit scan specialist. But yeah, it remains to be seen if they do it at all. And then Shuki and Owl will obviously do their best in order to get that nano boost up in time if the blade comes out, and to just do a general job of keeping the tanks up, allowing them to get the time for their combos and allowing the DPS to do their damage. So yeah, it should be a good game. It's a very normal setup of Overwatch, 6v6, nothing really wacky, other than Genji's been buffed, and that's the one thing that Solstice had trouble with. So
Well,
yeah.
Genji's been buffed, but so has Hanzo. We don't really get to see
Oh.
him that much, but Hanzo, the Storm Arrow is going from 60 damage to 70, has actually been quite nice when it comes to breaking shields. So if you want to run that shield buster composition, you can run the Hanzo in place of the Ashe. Remember, those changes to Ashe haven't quite hit live just yet. We're all hoping that they come through, Classy, because Dynamite is just a busted ability, and to have it on that
Yeah.
shoulder cooldown is still even more busted. But
I
Ashe
think
is
it
still
doesn't
very
feel.
strong.
There's a thing, right? So 10 seconds doesn't feel like it's long, but then when it's 12 seconds, you're like, okay, now it's actually going to be possibly long. So we're going to start on Busan here. Not really quite sure which match we're starting on straight away, like which point. It looks like it's going to be the Sanctuary. Just making sure that we're going in here in the right, nice pace. And yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about it straight away. What do we think we're going to be seeing here?
So Sanctuary is a much more open map, and where you would see things in mecha base being run like the Mei, like a Doomfist, sometimes even a Reaper. Sanctuary is where you have the flankers, things like McCree, things like Tracer and Neon Sunset Wave 72 already locked in with that one, which means Solstice Esports, you need to have a Brigitte. You need to have something that guarantees your support lineup the chance to actually survive seeing that point, because yes, Joey can go into the Batiste. That means a lot of healing for the front line, but you don't want to burn an Immortality Field, a crucial ability with a really hefty punishing cooldown of 25 seconds, because you can't deal with a Tracer.
Well, we see matching tanks, matching supports, and almost matching DPS, but it's going to be Aspect finding it out on the Ashe versus Brassy on the Soldier. Soldier has been a little bit more meta as of late, especially with the hero pools, but of course we're working without them, so it's interesting to see that they still choose to go for that, but we will see the fight immediately break out on point. Of course, double barriers trying to poke around, break each other down, and just win the cooldown war, but it's Aspect getting that first headshot on the Baxter. Orisa's head so easy to find, and Baxter knows exactly what it's up. Barriers will still be in the face to deny any other kills, really, but it's only the Immortality Field going down, and they go straight into it. While the DPS are battling in the backline, Al gets taken down by Silver Star. That means it's a good place for Solstice Esports to be in. They clean up the fight nicely.
It feels like Neon Sunset were expecting a pharmacy combination to come out with that Soldier, and what it's meant now is that their DPS is lacking that significant damage. Aspect's already 63% up to that first ultimate, and now Brassy swaps, but that misread onto their opponents is going to cost them in this next fight, because you've reset your ultimate bar, and you're going to be walking into Solstice, who are about to come up into ultimates of their own.
Definitely a nice halt accretion combo, the dynamite into it to boot as well. That means Aspect's gonna have the ultimate ready, and Bob is probably ready to do something here. Lambert with the pulse bomb doesn't quite stick. It actually gets taken down by Owl. Good reaction from the Brigitte. Both Tracers out of the fight now, and now we're gonna see if they can do anything with these Immortality Fields, with these amplification matrices, but both of them just dodging it. Don't want to get hurt by anything, and I get that. Don't want to get taken down too soon. The Ashes are going to be in sort of a 1v1 situation here, but it won't be actually happening here. It's going to be the beautiful Critic Flux coming out. Vanguard doesn't actually find anything with that. Doesn't die through it, really. And now Khosrow taking out Brassy. That's really where it's going to start going down, because you have so much damage advantage with that Ashe gone.
Oh,
and
but Aspect gets stuck!
Oh, that's not what you wanted to see when your Aspect both Ashes out of the fight, but Lambert is still cleaning up the fight here. The Tracer just uninhibited by anything. No more Brigitte means free roam for the Tracer, and she just goes ham. Wave 72, last one to fall, and this point keeps being in control of Solstice. One fight to go, Moxie.
It was such a long fight, and Neon Sunset committed so much into it. Solstice, on the other hand, they were able to keep control of the point and keep ultimates in the pocket. That's absolutely crucial. If you're Neon Sunset, you're walking into the final fight, you can't disengage, you don't have anything outside of a rally to bolster your health bar, and Solstice can just shred you as you walk through.
Yeah, and exactly it's going to happen. The rally does come out with a double kill from Dampens, and they don't even get to the point. Oh, that's such a shame. It was going to be a tight fit, but that's just too bad. They didn't quite make it there. And now that we're going to the next point, Solstice going up one map. That's a good start for Solstice, obviously.
Solstice looking extremely strong, and it all spirals off the back of that misread coming out from Neon Sunset. They thought that it would be a pharmacy, so they had the Soldier in place. Why not start off with the Ashe? You've got to ask yourself, because you can put a Soldier in to counter a Pharah, but even more effective is Ashe, and even if there isn't a Pharah in the sky, the Ashe stays on the board, constantly being behind in ultimate charge, constantly being behind in that damage output. That was the reason why Sunset had a really hard time trying to grab the point the first time around. And even then, when they swapped on, Solstice Esports had the leg up in that ultimate battle that Neon Sunset weren't really able to recover.
Yeah, now that we're going into this downtown area, the comps haven't changed that much, but it's going to be Lambert and Wave 72 going over to the Echo, and Brassy Aspect now finding it out. Still on the Tracer Ashe, but the first fight's already gone. Khosrow, Lambert, they getting those first two kills on the Echo and the Winston, and I mean, that's what you're going to see. It's going to be dive versus double barrier, and I don't know if that's a matchup they're going to be winning.
Well, Solstice Esports do have a very diveable, juicy backline, though, with that Zenyatta. Neon Sunset are running a Brigitte, so more survivability available for Shuki. If the dive comes through onto the Zen, Neon Sunset should be able to take this away.
It does look like they're obviously going to try to do so. Wave 72 with a nice flank coming out here, ready to go onto the enemy team. Meanwhile, the constant spam out here from Khosrow. Just it's relentless. How are they going to approach this?
Well, they aren't feeling very sure
Right,
about it. Brassily's approaching that pulse bomb 53% of the way there, but even getting in and trying to stick is going to be extremely difficult.
They went through the cliff, and the dive was actually pretty good. Really good anti-nade, and the immortality field gets broken. Yes, they lose Baxter in wave 72, and with Al going down and the D-Mac here, it might actually be a much closer fight. They might be able to push it back. Brassy is still trying to do some work, gets 2 kills late, but it's 2v2 here, and with Shuki going down, you're a Tracer against 2 tanks. You have a lot of damage, but I don't think you're going to be able to win that. So are they going to be able to get back quicker and win the overtime fight with this?
Well, they are going back into this dive, Classy. They haven't really properly reset. You've lost your Echo. Paxter is, well, not in a very nice position, but Neon says that they have to commit.
Yeah, they definitely went for it, and it's a good try to go commit, because obviously you have the mobility advantage, but they didn't quite get the first move off. The tanks of Solstice Esports really doing a great job of sustaining there, and now, with 74%, what are we looking at? Ult situation is looking pretty good for Solstice still.
Well, Neon says that do have a nano boost that you can put onto the Winston Baxter to give that dive just a little bit of extra oomph, but Solstice Esports, they will have this amplification, because that Winston is going to get shredded.
Beautifully predicted, but wonderfully countered as well with the implication matrix, and all the kills are going Solstice's way. Nothing you can do. You have to go for the Hail Mary jump in, and everyone just falls on the side of Neon Sunset here. No cake for them today, at least not on Busan, and they're gonna have to come back and try again on a different map, but at least they'll be able to choose it.
It was very strange, though, committing to that dive and then continuing to commit to that dive when we saw that Solstice Esports were very good at staying alive. Normally, if there's a dive coming through when you're playing up against Batiste and Zen, you want to go for that support. You want to force out that immortality field, and then the proper damage comes through. The Solstice were very good at holding on to those immortality fields and only putting them in when they absolutely had to. And by then, the dive had already just been left broken and shattered and crumbled in half. And I think a huge part of that was that the dive comes through and it's behind double shielding, which means that your tank lineup doesn't really have sustainability, right? You're running an Ana, but you don't have a support to actually go in with the dive, which means there's no AoE healing. And even though you've got a defense matrix with that diva, there's just no way to have that life support running through your rank.
Yeah, it really seemed like they really want to go for the support back line. It's a good choice. You know, that's definitely what you want to do. But if they are able to hold on to the immortality field that long, then there's something going wrong there. Because I do think you need to find a place and a way to be able to force out the immortality field in some way without full committing on it. Because if you full commit on it and they still have the immortality field, they're going to out-sustain and then kill you. Especially with relatively squishy tanks compared to those double shield tanks. And, well, it's exactly what we saw happening. It was the same thing over and over again. You saw the tanks dive in, the immortality field comes out late. Even with that beautiful anti-nade we saw at some point with their attack, it just wasn't enough because they didn't force any cooldowns, anything on them. So I would like to see Neon Sunset be more aware of those things.
So what it sounds like you're saying is Neon Sunset should try to go for a crossfire. And I 100% agree. Have something that is a threat, but is disconnected from the dive. And so you have something like a Widowmaker or a Hanzo. We saw that they had a Trace that maybe you field a Genji. Because we talked about how Solstice were having a very hard time in the last match that I saw them dealing with that Nano Blade. And Genji, at the moment, he's so strong. And he just immediately, as soon as he comes in, forces immortality field out because Batiste and Zenyatta, they don't want to be anywhere within a mile of that guy if there's a chance for their health bar to drop below 25%.
Poor supports, honestly. Like the Genji buff, it's been so heavy. And I would say it's great that we see Genji again, but it just terrifies me. And that's mostly because I just don't know how to play Genji. So I cannot actually abuse the buff. If it was like any other hero, or almost any other hero, I'd be like, yes, a buff, let's go. But I can't play Genji, so it doesn't benefit me. But we're going to Rialto, which is maybe dive map. I mean, we've seen it done in the past successfully, but I would definitely say this doesn't feel quite like the diviest of dive maps.
Rialto isn't really a dive map as such. It's much more about setting up that crossfire that we talked about. So you have something like a pharmacy hanging up in the sky, giving you 50% focus away from what's happening in the ground. And that sets the stage for something like an Ashe or a Widowmaker to just constantly be there, peppering shots in from the sidelines, pulling focus away from the tank battle. And if your supports are left alone, they can just focus on keeping a Reinhardt up, keeping a Zarya up, and just continuing that slugfest of a fight as both of these teams grapple for control of that courtyard.
Yeah, and obviously their the choice here of going to Rialto was on Neon Sunset. They lost the last map, so they definitely wanted to go here. And that kind of tells me as well that they don't think that dive is necessarily the answer. That's just what they had practiced on that one map. Um, and it does look so far, because I don't think they did actually swap sides as well. So it's going to be Neon Sunset attacking first. So they can definitely set the tempo. They can set the pace here, going with this non-dive composition, the thing they've apparently been practicing all the time, and going up against this double barrier Ash Echo setup.
This is going to be risky because you can set the tempo if you set a fast pace on Rialto. You can also be full held on point A, especially if you're running up against double shielding. This is going to be extremely hard to evict from the high ground, and that is where you need to be. If Brassy sticks, no, there we go. Not going to go for the Doomfist. If you stuck with the Doomfist, even if you stick with the Ashe, you have to have control of the high ground. You have to unseat the defense from this ledge before you can properly commit onto fighting on this payload.
And obviously, immediately, all those halts, the accretions, the shields are coming out for the full one. No combos really hit. A lot of barriers being blocked by everything. Lambent really low and actually gets taken out by Brassy. That's a huge first pick. That's less crossfire to deal with and more for you to set up. And they're chasing down Owl, or Silver Star actually well. Doing a great job with maybe trying to get the Brigitte, not quite finishing it off. Was a good heal coming out from Joey there. But that might have forced up the Immortality field, so they're in a good position to push forward here. But it's going to be Khosrow, obviously, together with Silver Star, pushing forward, getting the front line completely demolished here. And Neon Sunset is going to have to go and try again.
Neon Sunset had a really good approach. Baxter was able to get a really nice hold on, split the team of Solstice, forced a couple of them off the high ground onto the low ground. The rest of the team has to follow suit. Neon Sunset doesn't have that follow-up. They've got chip damage. You've got Wave 72. Going to be doing a lot to harass the backline, but not a lot when it comes to pick potential until that pulse one comes up. So you're relying on Brassy to put all of your damage down onto the books. With Solstice, they've got double DPS lineup, the Ashe and the Echo. There's so much damage coming through.
And the first kill on the Shuki as well. That's almost all your healing gone. I know Brig does a lot when you're playing together, but you see Brassy already looking for a health pack. Then Sawgrass is in a very different position than a lot of others. They look like they've taken over the high ground, but Brassy in the meantime is completely left alone. Lemon takes them out with ease on that Echo. And now you're once again in such a weird position where you're missing members. Lemon in a bit of a pickle, but will just win that duel against Owl. Gets thrown off by Vanguard.
Wave 72 is completely split apart from the team, Classy. He's completely away from the team.
They don't even know where they are.
He's all the way behind, up on the high ground, completely away from the payload, pretty much above the checkpoint at this moment, which means that Solstice are fighting 6 versus 5 voluntarily from Neon Sunset.
Can they build the pulse bomb and maybe get a beautiful stick? Because the Immortality field, once again, it's out early, but Wave 72 taken out by Lambin. They do get Khosrow, though, so a huge advantage in the shield department now. But the Bobs both come out, and are they going to be doing something? Which Bob is more useful to their team? It's going to be Lambin taking out Brassy with a beautiful Gravitic Flux follow-up. Lambin on a rampant right now, and both the Bobs are still doing something. It's going to be Lambin taken out of that duplicate form by Owl, and that means Neon Sunset can approach a bit further. They get the card a bit further now, but this Gravitic Flux might get some follow-up. No, beautiful Immortality field. Once again, a nice follow-up from Shuki, and Wave hits the Pulse Bomb on the Silver Star. Shuki falls on the other side, though it's not quite over just yet, and they keep trading back and forth. This is a very close fight, Moxie, but it does seem eventually the numbers are turning into the favor of the attackers here. Aspect cannot do enough here with those dynamites and the shots, and they might even get the first checkpoint off of this because of all those late staggers.
Well, Baxter was able to put the superchargers down after Silver Star's rally had come through and after Joey was facing that 25-second cooldown on Immortality field. There was nothing Solstice could do to bail out the amount of damage that was coming onto them. They are still going for this very late fight though, Classy, and well, Aspect's building up to that Bob. If you can send it through, you might be able to cut Neon Sunset away from the card.
Yeah, and Lambens did a great job, just fell in there just in time, and they weren't able to capitalize on the kill on that. This Bob is not really doing anything, just dying, really. But Silver Star has gone down. Joey, Vanguard, they're all falling. The resources and the damage are 100% there now, and Wave 72 seems to be alive now.
Well, if you're Neon Sunset, though, you just committed a whole amount of ultimates that you wouldn't have had to use if Solstice hadn't sent that Bob-omb through. And Aspect is already almost 30% of the way to the next one. So Neon Sunset, they've still got ultimates to play with, but it's not as many, and you don't really have that momentum behind it. Shuki could have dropped Amplification Matrix, and that buys up so much space. So much fear coming out from Solstice. You can run away from a Bob, you can run away from the Sigma Flux, you can run away from a Rally.
Using a lot of space here to get for blocking a lot of ultimates and abilities that are coming out here from Solstice Esports. They're going to be able to obviously do a bit more. They're going to be able to get a bit more space here, get further through this high ground. And with this Gravitic Flux, they might even be able to do more than that. The Immortality Field is there, but that means it is gone now. Lambda tries to go around the side, but is very low, has to be really careful to do anything there, and gets taken out by Brassy as a result. Nice push forward. That means you don't have to worry about cross angles, and we'll take jump Khosrow early again. Neon Esports apparently found their target. They found a way to get through these Immortality Fields and then go further forward, and the Gravitic Flux is a beautiful way to do that. Of course, it now comes out from Vanguard. Will they get follow-up? They do get 3 kills out of that. Lambert and Vanguard combining to get both the Baptiste and the Ashe, and then of course the cleanup. Not that hard to do anymore.
That was the fight Solstice needed to win, because now they've got control of steps, they've got control of high ground, they've locked up Aspect's line of sight onto this bridge. Neon Sunset are going to take so much damage when it comes to that poke battle before they even get to see the payload. And Shuki cannot use Immortality Field, Owl cannot pop Rally, because Aspect and Lambent are both going to have ultimates in this next fight. You need all of your reserves stored up to deal with this, because you've only got 1 minute left on the clock.
And now this high ground hold is going to be very strong. Are they going to try to actually challenge this? They are. And that's a very gutsy thing to do, because obviously they can back off a little bit more because they're not in that open space that you are. They will still try to pull them off with the hold, but it's going to be Brassy on the off angle. Actually sees Lambent. Lambent going very low. Can they finish that off? It does look like it. Both DPS are down. This is the window they needed. Neon Sunset, they can push forward, and the windows aren't even there for Joey and Shuki. They don't need those. They can just push forward, get the supercharger, and there's nothing that Solstice can do against this. You lose your DPS early, you lose the fight.
Oh, wave 72 on this Tracer isn't getting the picks, but is just keeping the focus away, making sure that Solstice have to have that dual attention on all aspects of this map. And it frees up so much space. This Tracer is acting as a third tank to this composition at the moment.
And they even had Lambert use the duplicate there late. The Bob had come out from Aspect earlier as well. I don't even know where that went. So there's actually quite a few ultimates ready as well. Neon Sunset actually in a pretty good position to potentially finish out this map, Nox.
First, they have to deal with the supports, because there is a lot of sustainability available for Solstice, especially with a rally popped extremely aggressively.
Yeah, exactly. But they just back off. They hear the rally, they hear the amplification matrix, and say, you know what? We'll fight in like 10 seconds. That's fine. The Gravitic Flux, though, will not let them wait. That's a double kill of Brassy and Baxter out of the fight. And what are you going to do? You only have a Bob there. At least Bob lets everyone retreat safely, but that's not going to be enough. You need a bit more than that to just force out the Bob. And they will be able to get at least 1 or 2 more fights in, but it's getting close to that overtime. So they do need to make some tempo. I think they need to win 2 more fights, actually.
Well, what Neon Sunset need to do right now is focus Joey down. This Batiste, if you can burn Immortality Field out either by dropping Supercharges or Amplification Matrix, that sets the way for Soulgress to use that Sigma Flux.
Yeah, the Sigma Flux comes out, but I don't think it actually hits anything. They do get the kill on the Lambent as a follow-up somehow. Wave 72 doing great on just countering that Echo. I don't really know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. Immortality Fields are out, but Brassy falls on the other side. DPS traded for DPS. And what is left here for Neon Sunset? They are getting the progress because they forced Solstice into this beautiful corridor in Italy. I love that architecture. It's just great. But meanwhile, they're getting the kills as well, forcing everyone in a really weird position and then just cleaning up inside. That's what you want to do. Lambent can do nothing against it, and it will touch overtime, and they will get into this final stall fight.
Oh, Vanguard onto the Hammond. Can't get the spin cycle locked and loaded though, Classy, so no chance to use the rally. No chance to use your Bob.
I thought there was going to be one more fight, but you saw it happen, right? They were trapped in that corner, and meanwhile, they still pushed the card forward. And then Solstice was, okay, what do? Do we try to win the fight here, or do we try to fight on card? We don't really know what to do. And then they lost the fight, and it was over. And now they got to defend.
Oh, Solstice. So the last time I saw them, they couldn't deal with a Genji. This time, it's a Tracer. Wave is getting so much value on a DPS that it's so easy to shut down.
You have a Brigitte,
you have a
Baptiste. Come
They've
on.
got a Brigitte. That's the problem, right? They've got a Brigitte, and Wave is playing around that perfectly because Wave does
Yeah.
not go for the out and out fight. This is not a Tracer who
Yeah.
suicidal blinks into a team and tries to get a pick and then gets out. No, Wave pressures the payload. And what that
Yeah.
does is when Solstice are all happy and set up in a nice little nest that they formed of themselves with double shielding, they have to turn around. And when they turn around, that leaves them vulnerable to the rest of Neon Sunset to come trample over all of the care and planning they've put into that positioning.
Now we're gonna see it. Will they change anything? And it doesn't look like it here. I mean, of course the defense won't. Neon Sunset's already out of the gates. They're ready. Wave 72. We know it ain't broke. Don't fix it. So they even have some time left. They actually have 0.6 seconds. I didn't even notice. That's beautiful. And we will still see that echo come out from Lambent. And I do want to see a bit more value from that because I don't think we quite saw the potential.
The duplications weren't there. You tried to go for it a couple of times, but it wasn't finding that same amount of value that Wave was finding just being up and alive. And once again, there's no McCree for Solstice Esports.
And as his first fight starts to progress, Shuki has to use the Immortality Field early. They could pay dearly for that, but they didn't use their Baptiste early. Immortality Field's out from both sides now, and now we gotta have Aspect try and do as much damage as possible to get through this. And they do. It's Brassy trying to, of course, reciprocate, actually leading in that ult charge by quite a bit, 20% almost. And this will be a tough one, but it's going to be Baxter falling first. And when you lose the Orisa, you're likely to lose the fight. Even when Lambert comes around, beautiful focus beam to just finish off Brassy here. And they're going to be ready. Immortality Field is gone. Once again, the defense is just crumbling here. Neon Sunset, you had a good attack, but you still need to have a good defense in order to try and win this map.
The defense might have crumbled, but Solstice Esports restraint on ultimates crumbled along with it. You'd won the fight, the Orisa was gone, and Joey dropped Amplification Matrix, and you could have had that now. You could have used that to make sure that Neon Sunset weren't able to cross the bridge and go for this contest. And Shuki, he's got one of his own. He can drop it and force Solstice away.
Yeah, and does drop it, of course, straight away. But Khosrow gets the pull on the Baxter into the river. You go, and that's not water you want to swim in. That's quite toxic over there. It's a good gravitic flux, and I think they've already used the Immortality Field, but it doesn't seem like it. The Bob doesn't really get anything, but it doesn't need to because they're just going to get cleaned up over here. And Solstice is going to make a pretty speedy run so far.
They've got momentum as well in this next fight. Lambent and Aspect both sitting on ultimates along with Vanguard. So if you're Neon Sunset, you're going to have a rally, but that might just be sounding the funeral bells as you move into the fight. Honestly, if you're Neon Sunset, what you need to do in this next fight is sort of treat it as an eco push, right? You want Baxter to get those superchargers online, Shuki to come back in with Amplification Matrix, and if you can bleed Solstice Esports' ultimate economy dry, well, that's an added bonus.
They do have quite a few up for themselves. Now we can see the duplicate coming out straight away from Lambent. They're going to go with the double Sigma approach here. So it's first the gravitic flux from Vanguard to force out the Immortality Field, and then they're trying to get one onto Lambent, and Lambent will in fact get that one off. Throws a few in the air, but I don't think the follow-up is quite there. And meanwhile, they've lost a few resources of their own. Neon Sunset fighting back and fighting back hard with vigor. Not quite getting the pulse bomb kill there, but still distracting everybody. And Solstice is just running away. They do get that kill on the wave. Nice headshot from Aspect. And that means that they can potentially push forward without having to look behind them. Another kill from Aspect on the Shuki. And that really opens it up. The Tracer comes back quickly, but without that healing, the Baptiste will not be... well, will really be sorely missed. They do get these counter kills here somehow, but it does look like the fight will get cleaned up by Solstice, and they're gonna be able to keep on pushing.
It's gonna be the battle of the amplification matrices in this next fight. Shuki and Joey, they've both got them. And if you're Solstice Esports, you need to drop it because Neon Sunset, they're going to be coming into this with a Sigma Flux, with a Bob, a lot of stall potential on this payload. You need to have as much time as you possibly can when you come into seed.
Oh, and you don't really give them any chance to defend. Beautiful amplification matrix. Just make sure 3 straight away die. This was kind of what they wanted to do on the first point when they got it, but turn around and yeah, Wave 72 last one to die. They're just gonna cruise into third with 4 minutes 50.
Oh, Brassy tried to send Bob to get the touch onto the payload to delay it, but Aspect actually coach guns him away before he can connect. So Neon Sunset's best chance at keeping that payload stalled long enough for Slowgrass to hit that Sigma Flux just vanished along with the Sigma Flux he just popped.
Yeah, luckily though, they do get this first kill here on Joey, and they are very close to another Bob. At least they're catching up on Bob charge. Oh, but Vanguard, the double kill. No, that's just not okay. Come on, Neon Sunset was finally winning a fight, and then you just do that? I mean, you know, I'm Dutch. I like the Dutch guy, but that's just a bit too much.
Oh, they have families, and what they don't have is ultimates to combat Cosmo's supercharges, which are now plonked into the ground. Owl's got to pop the rally to just get the team through the spawn doors.
Oh, they're close to this Bob. Brassy's going to build it up. Bob is going to potentially do something here. Will actually touch the card, I think, in this case. So that's a good place to start. Brigitte helping out as well there. But there's a Gravitic Flux on the left spawn door. We'll be able to finish off Brassy here, but not before Brassy gets the Bob kill on the 2 Aspect and Silver Star. And that means with the spawn advantage, this could be still a very good fight for Neon Sunset. Vanguard is trying their best together with their main tank in order to get something going here. But I think you're just going to get cleaned up, and Neon Sunset is going to live to fight another day on Rialto.
And this is the danger when the payload stops that far into defenders' territory on Rialto. It's extremely hard for the attackers to even get to see it again without losing someone very early on into these fights, because it's very easy to see all of these directions you're coming from. Baxter can just plunk supercharges behind one of these stone corners, and Solstice wouldn't even get to see it. They'll only feel the damage amplified.
Yeah, Baxter is going to definitely put that one down pretty quickly. Amplification Matrix first, of course, so you don't need that double boost. That would be a bit insane, bit overkill. It's not what we do here. But it's going to be, I mean, they're going to try and deal with this Tracer behind them, or whatever is behind them. I think it's the Echo, actually, from Lambent. No. Oh, they were looking behind them. Oh, it's the Bob, of course. Sorry. I wasn't even seeing that. But it's going to be Aspect and Wave 72 dueling, and Wave 72 drawing the shorter end of that straw. Vanguard tries with another Gravitic Flux, but this is not going to be as lucky as the last one. Another rally from Owl. I mean, that really built up quickly after that last fight, and now with 2 minutes gone, not real progress has been made. Some resources have been drawn out, and that's the first one. Lambent getting the focus being on the Sawgrass, and the grass has been sown a bit shorter. You're going to be Wave 72 trying to do something in the backline, but with Brassy going down, you're their only DPS left. You got to help the team on the front line. They're just going to get cleaned up over here. They're just going to get smacked and smacked around here by this Brigitte of Silver Star. Owl will not be so lucky as to get away with that one. And this is Lambent just cleaning up as Echo. This is what she's good at. Gets the 3 kill over there. Sticky bombs, focus beam. Gonna get this kill onto. No, he's not gonna get the kill on the Brassy, but it doesn't matter. This payload is gonna get there. And that's about a minute 20 difference between the teams. Not a lot to go off.
So Neon Sunset were running a composition that was very good when the fight is far away from you. Pretty awful when it's right next to you. And we saw the panic that went through that team as soon as Solstice moved towards the payload in that fight, because Shuki drops Immortality Field when there isn't an ultimate. That's when you know that the team is panicking on this comms. Because that's when you've got the panic going through, you've got a 25-second cooldown to worry about, and you know that you just don't have enough healing to keep everyone alive. So you drop Immortality Field, you try to just roll the dice, hope that Cosmo didn't have those supercharges up. And that's the thing, Solstice, they were coming closer to these ultimates than Neon Sunset. So even if they'd been able to win a little bit further on in that fight, supercharges would have been dropped, Immortality Field wouldn't have been there, and you would have that knock-on domino effect that runs with Overwatch. If you use an ability too soon, it really does come back to bite you in the worst possible way.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to go into extra rounds here, and then we got to think what happened in the first 2. Who got that first point quicker? And I think, if we look back, Solstice didn't really have any, problem getting there, I'd say. But then Neon Sunset had a bit more effort to do. And it looks like they're going to set up the exact same compositions. No one's changing up anything. No weird strats for overtime. It's just going to be the straight-up fight that we've been seeing all the time. And are they going to get quicker through quicker this time, Neon? Or are they going to get stopped before they get to first? That's the question.
Neon have to get through first, at least, because they're going to be up against a 2-minute 21-second Solstice. So Wave 72 is up to this guy to manage to get one of these supports out of the way before the team can properly move in.
Oh, so much pressure on the supports already. Wave 72 doing a great job. Joey went very low, who just had to run away. I think both immortality fields have actually already been used, but I'm not entirely sure. Lamben, though, 9 HP and a dream. Trying to go behind is going to be aspecting the first hit, killing the wave 72. 10 seconds to go, actually 15 seconds to go, my bad. And it will be, it looks like Neon Sunset being pushed back into spawn. But there is a bit of a trade going on. Joey going down needs a lot less sustain, but you do still need some heroes to touch this card. Otherwise, this overtime it's just going to go and tick down. And then it doesn't matter if you have numbers advantage. And the numbers advantage is just not there when you almost hear the gong for the team kill. It's going to be 35.82 meters, and I have seen weirder holds on Rialto, but it is looking a bit problematic here for Neon Sunset.
It was that high risk, high reward strategy. You've got the Tracer in the mix. The Tracer needs to get that first frag. The support lineup, we saw that they were pressured, but the pick did not come up in the kill feed. If we'd been able to take that Batiste early on in the fight, results would have been completely different. Wave 72 would not have had to disengage. The Batiste would have gone. That would have allowed Neon Sunset green light go. And that front line for Solstice would have been absolutely gone within milliseconds. But that's not what happens. And when you've only got a minute-ish to work with, those strategies, they take time, they take investment. You left yourself with only 30 seconds to properly get that fight going. And you didn't have the damage behind your numbers. The Tracer, she's very good in that one-on-one, but when it becomes that scrappy 6-on-6, that's when her value just starts to dwindle.
Yeah, spooky, scary Solstice Esports coming out of the gates in a little bit, and they're probably going to run the exact same thing. Let's actually look at that. Yes, it is. No. Oh, it's not. We might actually be seeing some Genji and Bastion come out here, Moxie. It's possible. Or are they just teasing? That's, of course, the question.
I think they're just teasing. You've got 2 minutes, 21 seconds. Yeah. You can run the Bastion strategy, but you've got to get on.
Yeah, they just gotta go back. Yeah, same old, same old. They will have Wave 72 go on a bit of an off angle, potentially go in there to go aggressive. But for now, it's just going to be straight up. And Baxter just gets deleted. That's over. I mean, you cannot possibly come back from this. Unless you lose Shuki as well. I mean, Bressy gets that counter kill in the aspect, but I think this fight is over before it even really started. Owl falls, and I mean, no supports left. No, it's over. This is not gonna come back. I mean, I've seen miracles, but this would be more than a miracle, really. Yeah, Baxter, you're back, but you died too soon, and now you're just gonna fall, and no one's gonna be able to touch this. This is going to be the game, or at least the map, really. 2-0 for Solstice Esports in such an anticlimactic fashion.
We talked about it. We talked about it. Neon Sunset, they needed to get that payload moving through past A. If you've got 2 minutes, 21 seconds for an attacking team to work with, you've got the respawns on your side, you can afford to just bank up ultimates and then cash out in one massive fight where everything goes in, and that's it. Because all you need is one clean fight.
But it never got to the ultimates. They just came out of spawn, and Baxter was dead. And I'm not quite sure what happened there. But
so Aristas are not the most mobile of tanks, and they're also extremely hard to keep alive if the enemy just presses W and moves past that Arista shield. And we saw that the Tracer Wave 72 was just waiting on those steps to go for a little bit of a pressure play. But you don't even get to pressure play until your Arista is just kaput. And it was because the backline was just so far disconnected away from the front line. The Batiste and Brigitte, they were all the way around the next corner, which meant that the Orisa just does not have that vein of support that she constantly needs to be up and alive against with.
Yeah, it's such a shame. And I also feel that Baxter, I also think they went for a bit of the attempt of the cheeky, I'm going to pull you in the river play. So maybe a bit overextended too. And then, you have 4 legs. We all know it. It was the slowest hero in the game, but it has the most legs. How is it possible? But, it's one of those things where sometimes you should not take the risk. And if you want to be that aggressive, why not play some death ball, we hold you in spawn comp?
If you want to be that aggressive, why not put a failsafe in play and run a Mercy?
I mean,
because that's what you need in that scenario, right? Batista's very good with Immortality Field, and Brigitte can be very strong if you're anticipating something like a Genji dive. But when you're up against it and you know that you can't afford to lose a single player early on before a fight properly starts off, especially a main tank, have the Mercy in there. She's mobile. She's extremely hard to pin down, even if you're running up against dive. And she's got that resurrection, which means all of that walking from the spawn room back to the payload, that's gone. You just stand still, you get res back up, and oh hey, congratulations, you're alive.
Yeah, and I think I'm still trying to think back of the fight. Would they have gotten the res off in time? I mean, let's just say they would have. Let's just say they would have. Otherwise, your theory doesn't work. But let's just say they would have. But yeah, I mean, Mercy, I dig it. I would have seen it. I would have liked to see it. Of course, they also running still the Ash, which is just does amazing tons of damage, even more with a Mercy damage boost. So why not? Yeah, maybe they should have. But yeah, they're gonna go to King's Row next, which surprise, surprise. Of course, let's get it out of the way.
What's
But
your
no, it's
favorite
gonna
map?
be. The thing is, I think we said it both plenty of times. We love King's Row, but everyone always plays it, so it's getting a bit boring to cast. But I think
Actually,
these
do you know
teams.
what? I had a team earlier today who picked Eichenwald of
I
all
mean,
things.
we had a team the other day that picked Numbani and they went dive, and I was so happy. It just happened. I was like, yes. And it was also because it was exactly what I sort of thought they should have done, and then they did it. I mean, it didn't work out in the end, granted, but they did a lot better than they did on the other maps that looked very promising, and they sort of found like the formula. But now going into King's Row, these teams, are they going to change anything? Because it doesn't really feel like if you go to King's Row, you need to change anything of what's just happened. You might want to play like Sigma Reinhardt or Orisa Reinhardt, but that's about as weird as you're going to get with this. I think the DPS were fine, honestly, and
I
supports.
mean, maybe we'll get to see that original Reinhardt Zarya lineup on the attacking
Maybe.
side, but if you're the defense, chances are, and this is a 95% possibility, you're going to be running that double shield. So
Yeah.
often in all of these new iterations of King's Row, we see Orisa Sigma or Orisa Reinhardt where the defense just stands up on that high ground and you take so much poke damage. You can't even really maneuver your way on to point because the defense can just waltz away a little bit around, get a really nice window straight onto the scenery and straight into the attacker's respawn room. It's absolutely brutal, all of these
I must
positions that the
say,
defense can take. And that's even without talking about the power defense gets to hold over choke. And with Lambent on this Mei and Aspect on this Torbjorn, well, there's going to be a toll to pay to pass those gates.
yeah, way 72. You're gonna have a very hard time to get past that Torbjorn on that Echo. But obviously, you'll try. You won't have a Mercy, but you'll try. You give it your best shot. And Echo, not that bad at faking out a turret and getting some damage on that. Turret's gonna be in Hotel, so that's the angle. And that's not a great angle to really deal with the Echo. It's just probably just gonna fly around that and not even care. So yeah, maybe a lucky break from them. They're going through this top window of the cinema. Nice run around routes. We've seen teams do this before where they try to just control the high ground narrative, and so far so good. Neon Sunset's getting a bit of progress, and the turret actually does something against it. They take it out, so a little less threatening here for Wave 72. But they will still have to get around this, and they do get on the high ground. This rotation from Solstice is not working out at all. They just get demolished by the dynamite and the follow-up. This is not what you wanted to see from the defense. They had everything set up, and they just walk away from where they are, try to get closer, try to catch them in the rotation. But there's no way they could do that.
They didn't have everything set up though. That's the worst part of it. They run double shielding, but they don't run it on the high ground. And you need to have control of the high ground, otherwise what we saw happens. Because the attackers, they'll just see the open space, it's for real estate, they'll move on to the high ground, they'll have the advantage, and then when they feel like they're ready, they'll drop straight onto the defenders' heads. And the payload, they get to keep moving. And because you managed to get so much damage in that fight gun, you've already got an amplification matrix to drop and secure you all of street space.
Yeah, and a complete swap up on the DPS as well, so the DPS ultimates are going to be way ahead of where they are from Lambent and Aspect. So Wave already takes down Lambent just with the focus beam, wins that matchup. Khosrow goes down as a result afterwards, and that's just an easy kill with the Gravitic Flux. They're going to keep on moving with no stop and ultimates in the bank.
Oh, Neon Sunset can run away with this. They've got ultimates, they can cycle through these. You throw in a Bob in this next fight. And Solstice, they won't want to go for the recontest. They'll be thinking that maybe it's best if they hold on until that payload starts moving into C and you've got the architecture and respawn rate.
They gotta go. They gotta go try, right?
But you've got to try. You've got to charge up these ultimates. But that runs the risk of charging up Neon Sunsets who have control of all of this space before you can get to touch.
They do even make it there quite in time, but there is a duplicate going straight for the Sigma that we see so often. Does get taken down almost to half health, but will just get back up. 97%. Gravitic Flux ready to come out with the amplification matrix. Sorry, the Supercharger, actually. Silver Star does get 1 kill on the Owl, but it's going to be the tanks going down on the side of Solstice, and that is the front line gone, that is the back line gone, and its Aspect even falling almost into spawn. 5 minutes 17, and ready to go into third, and they still have some ultimates coming up in their supports.
Oh, Silver Star threw in the rally as well. You traded it for a pick, but 1 pick for 1 ultimate is just not value, especially for rally. That gives the team aggression, that gives them confidence to move into a fight. You want a rally right now to keep yourself alive with Amplification Matrix.
Oh, they get Joey early as well. He had the Amplification Matrix and just loses, just dies off the bat of Brassy. It's Braxter, but then just the other way around, really. They do get Brassy on the other side, but I don't think that's going to be enough when you have so many picks to your advantage. No more Baptiste, no more tank, just a few tanks missing as well. And it's going to be Wave 72 getting closer to the duplicate. Brassy getting closer to the Bob. They do get this pick on Owl, and they get Wave 72. This might actually be turned around. They do have the Amplification Matrix coming out in time, and Moxie, they're turning it around. Neon Sunset cannot complete the map, and now we get into that interesting place where we say if you hold anywhere on King's Row, it's gonna be on third.
Oh, Joey, there was no pressure onto the Baptiste. He gets to drop Amplification Matrix, and he doesn't use it for his team. He uses it to keep them up and alive. All of that healing amplified as it bounces on through. And even if Neon Sunset have the numbers, they just can't confirm the kills, but there have been trades. And now Neon Sunset, because they've got ultimates, they've got the advantage.
Yeah, they can definitely push through here, but the ultimate game is not that far apart as you would think, and Brassy just goes a bit too aggro. They weren't ready to push on that, and they just get punished as a result. That's a shame.
But you have managed to burn a Superchargers out from Cosro, and Baxter is approaching that. And if you pair up Superchargers with Brassy's Bob, that is bang for your buck. That is something that can break double shielding apart like no tomorrow. And we've seen Silverstar get very aggressive with these rallies, pops them far too early. Needs to hold on to them below.
Oh, Gravitic Flux from Sawgrass, and they're going to throw in anything else? No, not yet. Now they're finally going to be ready to throw in this duplicate from Wave 72 as well. Gonna try and get another Gravitic Flux up in time, so we'll be double fluxing. And the Immortality Field's obviously already gone. Lambent has fallen, meaning you have a great position to push in here. They get something over here. Looks like it's going to be the Orisa, but the Gravitic Flux is there from Vanguard. Gets a kill and gets another one. Sawgrass trades it back with 2, but you know you have the respawns on the defense. Are they going to be able to get back in time? And it does look like it. If Vanguard is just going to keep getting these kills, got 3 in this fight already. Lambent cleans up the 4th, and that means even with all these picks you got as Neon Sunset, you cannot push. You need the respawns, and you lost too many.
It's only with the respawns, though, that they lose that fight, because Baxter's Supercharger stayed up for so long. Lambert only just takes it out a couple of seconds before it would disappear of its own accord, and if Neon Sunset had spawned closer, they would have run away with that fight. As it is, they've got a rally, they've got that aggressive power behind them, they're popping it to move in, and that means Aspect can press Q.
Yeah, and Aspect does exactly press this Q straight away. Bob don't really do anything, will get taken out straight away, and Wave 72 also gets Joey. A lot of healing gone here, and gets Lambent as well. Wave 72 on a tear right now, wants to tear right through everybody with the sticky bombs, with the focus beam. There's the right click, it's gonna come out pretty soon, straight onto the Orisa. Focus beam ready, takes her out. No, the Immortality Field that bars that from happening, but that's the Immortality Field gone, not even for an ultimate. It's gonna be hard to deal with that Aspect on this high ground. Threw in the Bob, I think. No, it was actually Brassy doing that, and yeah, they're still losing. They just got taken down. They almost got the kills, but not quite.
That's the second time Joey gets taken out of the fight early with Amplification Matrix still up, comes back from the respawn room, drops Amplification Matrix right in front of his face, and just heals his team. And that's the second time. There is no pressure on that Baptiste. If Neon Sunset want to break this defense, they have to go for the backline first. They need to sweep the legs out so this body cannot keep walking.
The big problem as well, of course, you take Joey out and fight early, and then you just don't count him and being back so soon. Beautiful Graphitic Flux from Sawgrass. They get the duplicate out from Lambent because of that. Wave gets also taken out of the duplicate though, so no Echo duplicates anymore for this one. But with a minute left of the clock, this is the fight you need to win, and you need to win it fast, so you don't have overtime to worry about. This will be a good fight for Baxter. It's close to the Supercharger. Brassy closer to the Bob. What's going to come out first? It looks like it's not going to be Baxter Supercharger because they go down. Another beautiful Amplification Matrix just makes that happen. And now with 45 seconds left, you got a few ultimates. But you gotta be worried about what they've got on the other side because Solstice is banking.
Oh, it's the Bob off. Neon Sunset, they have to win this fight, and they have to win it almost immediately as soon as they encounter it. Otherwise, Vanguard and Khosrow are going to hit Sigma Flux and Superchargers, and it is going to be game over. So Neon Sunset, they need to come in burning, they need to come hot. Superchargers, Rally, Bob, all of this has to be burned immediately so you can just wash over these defenders.
Yeah, Bob goes in at least. Wave 72 is getting pressured here by Aspect. Will not actually go down. Yeah, eventually will. And the Ash falls as well. Bressy out of it. They only get the Bob in return. There's the Gravitic Flux that you were mentioning. And it will just be able to, well, really get control of this fight. The tanks have nowhere to go, nowhere to be. They'll get taken out. And it's going to be Solstice taking out the defense. Will hold with almost reaching that last checkpoint. But they will have to do better than that. And now, Neon Sunset on the brink of losing a series 3-0.
Well, it's a place that everyone is very familiar with on King's Row, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Having that payload start so close, and yet so far. And it's a tale of two Batistes. Rather, it's the tale of the same Batiste, but two different ways of dealing with him. Because Joey, before fight started, went down so often. As soon as fights began, though, and he was back and in the thick of things, all of the focus that should have been on that Batiste fell away. And I'm just left wondering why, because you had the tools, you had what you could have just used to go for him, right? But there was just no pressure on that backline, and so that backline keeps that front line up, that front line keeps making space for the DPS, and everything just keeps running around like a very slightly dysfunctional happy family.
Yeah, I think really think that they're just not expecting the respawn to come in that quickly. I think they're just miscounting. They think like 2 seconds later or something, and then Joey just comes back in and gets the Immortality Field, the Amplification Matrix, and just completely stops any attempt, because every single time it's the exact right time that they're just managing to get out of spawn through the Immortality Field when Khosrow and Vanguard are in like this sliver of health. They have no cooldowns left, and then Immortality Field, everything gets reset, and then Neon Sunset has nothing left. But now on their defense, they're going to be ready for it. Wave 72 on the Echo, Brassy on the Ash, and they're fighting in the mirror match of their lives.
And another double shield defense that's split, not all together on this high ground, which means they're vulnerable. Classy, if you move as one, if you're Solstice, you can overwhelm one pocket and then move on to the next.
They do have Sawgrass on the high ground here, so they're trying to slightly control it. I call it the Seni special, but that's what we call the Lambent and Vanguard special. Just take away the tank and the DPS off the high ground. It's going to be a split defense, and they're going to be split apart. No Immortality Field is going to stop Vanguard from running through and getting that really easy point A take. Of course, Neon got a very easy point A take as well, but you kind of want to have a better defense if you want to stop them from getting to third that easily.
Oh, and you're going to get staggered out as well. Now you're moving into the fight. You're sacrificing the chance to defend a choke.
No, Baxter. Oh, I think they thought they could maybe run back in, but it wasn't quite enough, and now they're gonna get cleaned again. More ult charge going in the way of Solstice, and that's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates coming up, and Khosrow and Silverstar, they're not even that far behind. They'll be fine. They'll get it pretty quickly.
And it's not even ultimates that really matter at the moment. That payload is going to move through at least half of Streets phase completely unimpeded. And yes, Neon Sunset can move in with one person extra. Remember, Solstice have to have a body moving that cart. But Solstice, they've got the ultimates. They've got the power behind their name. And Neon Sunset, they can drop Amplification Matrix, but Solstice can just disengage and wait that one out and then move in for the kill.
It's a very different place that they're going to fight, though, because this card is not anywhere close to the second checkpoint yet. There's the ultimates, though. Application Matrix is already 2 down. Wave 72 gets to kill the Lambent, but might be able to get this duplicate off, and it's going into the Sigma form. Will they be able to get anything out of that? No, they just get taken out of it, and all they're doing is really stalling for about 5 seconds. Not actually, because the payload wasn't even clear. They didn't even touch the payload. So what have they done? Use an ultimate and lost.
And Solstice? They used one ultimate, Amplification Matrix. Textbook ultimate economy management. They're going to have 4 ultimates to keep this cart moving. Neon Sunset, they'll be coming into a whole host of ultimates themselves, but they need to win these fights determinedly because they've got to hold on for 5 minutes and 35 seconds. 5.5
minutes and a dream. That's what Neon Sunset's telling themselves. We can win this. But now they have to prove it to us as well, because this first fight is going to determine a lot. Can you survive through these ultimates, then use your own? The Supercharger already out from Khosrow. That will just be running out. Not much coming out of that one. So that's one ultimate down. 4 to go, but Wave 72 and Baxter just get cleaned up as a result of this gravitic flux, and there's nothing happening. The robotic flux is the answer to all their problems, and Neon Sunset just gets team wiped. Will they be able to even be able to make it back? I don't think they. The Tracer is going to to be maybe.
But they don't have Lucio, and there isn't really any.
Oh, they do touch. They do touch, but is it gonna be anything? Shuki gets to kill the Silver Star. They get Khosrow. Somehow they're turning this around, Foxy. Too many ultimates were used here for Solstice, and the respawns come in time. Brassy with the double kill gets the duplicate out of it as well. Brassy actually coming up clutch there. That's what a Widowmaker does sometimes in this map. I love to see it. Brassy, stick on the Widow. Give me more of that. Deny Lambent anything in their dream. No! I mean, you can still do it. You can still do it with an Ashe. I trust you can still do it with an Ashe.
It's going to be extremely hard though, because yes, you do have that high ground now that you got it and the dynamite, but you don't have that one-shot potential because you don't have a Mercy to damage beast. You and Solstice can come in. They've got 4 minutes to work with. They can just bank up ultimates, and we saw it in that last fight. They almost ran over Neon Sunset with ultimates alone.
But Brassy just swapped up the Ashe, already 50% of the ult. Get another dynamite in there, you might just get it. Ooh, under attack by Lambert with the focus beam, but gets saved by Shuki. Beautiful Baptiste play there with the Exo boots. And now we're gonna see Aspect trying to go onto this action backline. They get Baxter in front line in the meantime, but Baxter is not the only one that might go down. No, they will actually be able to sustain this. The Tracer not getting anything done. Seeing the struggle of Wave 72 play out, but they don't touch the cards! No!
They didn't touch the cards. They walked away, and they walked away, and they walked away, and King's Row, it's the map that happens, for me at least, I don't know about you, it's the map that happens with that.
Look, the thing is, I have a highlight reel, which is really fun to have, but literally the last thing that happens there is a C9 on King's Row. So, me and C9s on King's Row go a long way back, but this was something else. It wasn't quite as bad as the one in the highlight reel. If you want to see it, just go. That's another story. But yeah,
no, it could have been a lot worse, okay? Because when Alfred swaps onto the Tracer, he actually hides right next to that big old mega health pack in the side room, hoping that Neon Sunset abandoned the payload and that he can go for a little bit of a cheeky backcap. But they see for the
luckily they don't. Yeah.
They punish the Tracer. That would have been far more embarrassing. But as it is, that is the second loss that Neon Sunset have sustained over this competition. And so they will unfortunately not be able to continue any further. But Solstice Esports, we said that this team did not want to come out of this tournament without a single win to the name. We said that they didn't want to come out of it early before their anniversary. And my goodness, these guys, it was a completely different team that we got to see today, and they were on 100%. Fire 100% of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just what you got to do. You know, you set the sun on Neon Sunset's day in the Solstice Summer Showdown, and you progress a little bit further yourself. I'm happy with Solstice Esports, of course. You know, they've been so generous in actually holding this tournament in the first place that we get to see all these beautiful plays. And I do think this tournament has so far not disappointed, and we have so many more days and games to come. I'm looking forward to the rest of it, but first, let's talk about a little bit of what happened in the game. Who do we think really put up that clutch performance? Who do we really think deserves that MVP spot? Because I it's hard for me to tell.
It's a tough one because there are some real names that immediately shine out. I think we've got to talk about Wave. That Tracer was integral in pulling a lot of focus away from that payload and setting up some really nice plays, and wasn't always getting the pulse sticks, but when the pulse sticks came through, we even got to see multiples of them. And I think Solstice Esports' backline as well was doing a lot. Like, the fact that we talked about Joey and how this guy, even though he comes out early in the fight dead, somehow manages to make it out of spawn and chucks the mortality field just in the nick of time to save his front line. That's the makings of a good Baptiste. Work on your positioning, and you are going to rise up the ranks.
Without that Joey Baptiste, they might not have won King's Row. At least it might not have been this dominant. So definitely props for that. But if I'm going to say anyone I'm actually gonna say Vanguard. I would say that Sigma play something else. Like a lot of good accretions, a lot of good gravitic fluxes. You don't often see kills actually coming out of the gravitic flux. The timing on them was really good. They always somehow knew exactly when to go for it. Not sometimes you got blocked by the immortality field, but a lot of the times the immortality field was actually already used, which is a good, sign of the team baiting it out, but also a good sign of recognizing that using the cooldown straight away. And I just think they did a great job. And obviously, they were able to sustain together the tanks, all the way down to that very first fight, or actually that very first sort of okay fight that went down for Neon Sunset onto Busan downtown, where you see the two tanks left, first the Tracer and the Ana, and they're able to sustain through that without any support, using their barriers correctly. And I do think that Vanguard deserves maybe the MVP spot, but definitely a huge shout out for things like that.
Well, I mean, I think we just see the bias, don't we? You being a tank main, immediately gravitating towards
Hey,
the tank players,
I
and me
I
being a support main,
honestly
wanting to make sure that
no.
Batiste gets recognition.
No, but I mean, the DPS did a great job. Like, the Wave definitely did a great job, but obviously the team still lost. So I can't really give the MVP to someone who lost. And I think that's fair, right? Maybe.
So
That's how everyone does
mean.
it, I think.
So cruel.
Yeah. I mean, still though, like, I do think that Wave did a really, really good job. Especially, I mean, the Echo 1v1s as well. I really think that the Echo 1v1 and just the matchup in the Echo, I do think that Wave, generally speaking, got the better of their counterpart in that other TPS form. Whereas
But
the
we
Ash
did see
matchup
that
went
from
quite even.
Brassy. As well though, right? That play on King's Row where you go for that swap. We see it on Widowmaker, sometimes we see it on Bastion,
Yeah,
where when the team's focus is diverted away and just focusing on that front line and stopping the payload where it is, you can swap something onto the sideline to actually get the real picks like a Bastion, like a Widowmaker. And if Brassy hadn't come in with multiple headshots, King's Row would have ended a lot faster.
a lot faster. Yeah, no, they did a great job there, and Brassy definitely deserves a shout out as well. Aspect too, great Ash play, great bot play. So there's just great plays all around. Like it's hard to say that someone really needs to be the MVP. Like, you say Joey, I say Vanguard, and who's to say in the end? That's not really anything for us to really decide about. Once they get picked up by an Overwatch League team, that's when we can really say, that's the person that got picked up. They must have been the MVP of that match. But before that, we're just guessing here.
I mean, we can settle it though, right? There's two of
Sure.
us, and there's T-Dad on production at the moment, so
Yeah.
chat won't get to find out, but we'll we'll
Yeah,
be
so
happy knowing
maybe
that we've
T-Dad
settled the tie.
can tell us what they think, should be the MVP, but, I'm not actually sure. Maybe we're gonna get another interview. I had a fun one last time with Quicks of Dub Nation, so maybe we're gonna get Solstice Esports in here. All of them are in and ready.
Oh,
Well,
now it's the battle. Do we want Vanguard or do we
now
want Joey?
well, I mean, you know what? Then we still have to decide who's MVP. So T-Dat's going to be the tiebreaker. Is it Vanguard or Joey? I mean, we don't know the teams. T-Dat's obviously like a representative of Solstice. They know exactly who these people are. We have no clue. So whoever we get, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Sorry, Mux. I win again. No. For those of you who don't know, we at some point we did some weird quiz showdown thing off, and I happened to win. It was lucky. Of course, it was lucky. Just luck. But yeah. Hi, Vanguard. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the interview, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks. I'm really happy we won. I think we actually practiced really hard after our last loss and it paid off.
Oh, good to hear. Moxie, you probably got some questions about what they exactly practiced or not.
Yeah, I do have to ask because I actually got to cast your last match, and you guys weren't really able to deal with one combination, and that was the Nanoblade. You didn't run into it today, but did you have some extra practice on how to shut down Genjis?
We started practicing against Dive a bit more, but not much. I'm happy we didn't run into it.
Okay. Well, I
I
mean, you still have to deal with the tracer, so
Yeah,
luckily that went well.
we ran the Brig instead.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, the brig obviously worked out very well. Silver Star was doing work on that one. But was there anything specifically you played differently? Like you played different. You played the Brigitte, of course, in the back line to deal with the tracer. But like, was there any different way you played like as a team because there was a tracer?
We really focused on stacking shields and blowing up their front line more because we had more span than them. because they had Tracer and we had Echo.
Okay. Well, that's obviously what you had to do, and it worked. Just no dealing with the tracer. I mean, you don't have to deal with the tracer if you just don't die. Just spam the shields, win the frontline battle. I think that's a good strategy. How about you, Mox?
Mhm.
And talking of strategy, actually, Classy was calling your Sigma play some of his MVP candidate of the day play, and for us non-tank players, playing Sigma, I think, can be extremely hard in the meta at the moment, where everyone sort of gravitates towards things like Reinhardt. Is there a reason why you think Sigma is sort of coming back in after we saw him out for a little while?
I think his ult is really good, and having a second shield is always good. Like double shields, still pretty meta. And Rock is like probably like one of the best stuns in the game.
Okay. Is that and why is Rock one of the best stuns in the game? Because obviously, it stuns, but so does a flashbang, so does a shield bash.
It does a lot of damage, and so if you're running against the Sigarisa and you halt Rock their Sig when he's trying to eat, you cancel his eat so he doesn't get the shields, and then you can just blow him up.
Cool. Yeah. And of course, it has a range aspect to it as well. So even if you see something far away, it's like throw a rock at it, maybe I'll hit it. And then sometimes you
Yeah.
get lucky, and it's great. At least skill. No, you don't get lucky. It's always skill. Sorry,
And you
to
never
insult you there.
F9. You never F9 immediately after you manage to just rock someone all the way from spawn. Never done it. No, obviously not.
No, never. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys get to live another day, get to live the tournament while the anniversary of Solstice is actually going on, which is always a good thing. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think you know your opponents yet. So, do you have a desire of who you want to play? Because I think that was supposed to be the other match today, but we didn't actually see them play. That was Dog Noodles and Cryx. Okay. The winner? I would say the loser of. Okay, so
You're the winner. It's just the voices in our head. We're not crazy. We're just talking to
yeah,
production.
I
They
would
will be
say that not to
playing.
make. So they play the winner of an upper bracket match while they're in the lower bracket themselves.
They'll be playing the winner of the match against Nation
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Cryix.
Okay. Exactly. So they'll play the loser of Nocturnal and Dub Nation, which I hope I'll be casting that match. I think I'm scheduled for it, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And yeah, I mean, do you have a preference out of those two, Nocturnal and Dub Nation? Nocturnal being maybe the more known team, Dub Nation playing a bit of those wacky compositions, the young men's strength, as we dubbed it last time.
I don't really think we have a preference. I think we just gotta prepare to face whoever we gotta face and play our best.
That's good to hear.
And before we send you off, because you've come here and talked to us, we want to give you the chance. Is there anyone that you want to say thank you or shout out in particular?
Uh, I think shout out to everyone on the team. Everyone played really well, and I think we're getting a lot of synergy because me and Kazra came in as the new tank line a couple of weeks ago, and we've been getting a lot better really fast.
Okay, good to hear. Well, we hope to see more of you, of course. And I think we're just going to officially call you the MVP of the day. So, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the call out. I might have stolen it away from Moxie, but I don't care. It's a tank main. Tanks got to stick together. You know how it be. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll hope to see you in the next one. Dub Nation or Eternal is going to be the next opponent. And I hope you're going to be ready for it because it's going to be a hell of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cassie, I can't just trust you as far as I can throw you, although I don't think I
No.
can throw you
Mm-mm.
very far.
No. I mean, I've tried to lose some weight, but even then, with your strength training and my losing weight, there's still a big gap to close there.
One day
So
we'll meet in the middle,
one day,
where my
yeah,
arms will be less
I'll just
noodly.
jump. Yeah, I'll jump, and then yeah, okay. No, we will figure it out. Physics is not that hard. But yeah, that
Good
was
on
our
the
game for
alpha.
tonight, Moxie. That was our game for tonight. We did it. We got through it. We didn't completely stomp over each other with our color. We got through it, and the teams got through it as well. They had to endure our casting. You as viewers had to endure our casting. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, if you want to hear more of us, me maybe not shouting as much, maybe more being more of like trying to be intelligent. I can be found on Twitter. It's the same thing over here. I'm pointing at it on my camera. That's the Twitter, and Moxie can also be found on Twitter on her Twitter handle, which is also underneath on the screen. Yeah, it's right there. We do more than just this. We do fun things all over the place. But most of all, don't forget to follow Solstice Esports. Don't forget to come back for the next games because it's only getting better. We're getting only closer to that final pinnacle match, only closer. We're going to have some MVP, all-star matches and things going on, Widow 1v1s. You don't want to miss any of the action. And yeah, be in the chat, be supportive, and shout those poggers. Get that bread, bake some bread, maybe send it to us, because food is nice. I don't know. Just we'll see you in the future, hopefully.
Good night, guys.